The plasma bolt sears past Marcus Chun's head as he dives behind rusted mining equipment, his heart hammering against his ribs. The superheated air crackles with ozone, and the acrid smell of melted metal fills his nostrils. Commander Zara Vex's four-armed silhouette moves like liquid death through the facility's shadows, her bioluminescent hunting marks pulsing with predatory excitement in rhythmic waves of electric blue. She's the hegemony's most decorated killer, and she's been tracking him for 3 years across 17 star systems. Leaving a trail of dead informants and burned safe houses in her wake, Marcus rolls behind a massive ore crusher, feeling the familiar weight of exhaustion in his bones. 15 years of running will do that to a man. 15 years of sleeping with one eye open, of never staying in the same place twice, of watching over his shoulder for the telltale shimmer of cloaked hegemony ships. His beard has gone completely gray, and the scars from a dozen near misses crisscross his weathered hands, like a roadmap of survival. But as Marcus catches his breath in the facility's recycled air, he smiles. It's not the desperate grin of a cornered animal, but something far more dangerous, the satisfied expression of a chess master watching his opponent make the exact move he's been waiting for. The bodies of her 9 predecessors are positioned exactly where he left them over the past 3 years. A grotesque welcome mat leading to this moment. Vex the tracker hangs suspended from the main conveyor system, his 6 legs arranged in a perfect web pattern. The insectoid hunter had been so proud of his ability to follow scent trails across vacuum. Marcus had spent 2 months learning Vex's biology before introducing him to a cocktail of pheromone disruptors that had sent the creature into such a frenzy he'd literally torn himself apart trying to follow his own scent in circles. Krill, the assassin, sits propped against a control console, his serpentine body coiled in death, twin poison sacs ruptured and leaking fluorescent venom onto the floor. The Naga had been famous for his ability to synthesize toxins from any environment. Marcus had simply waited for Krill to sample the local flora, then triggered the mining facility's atmospheric processors to flood the area with a compound that turned the assassin's own venom glands into acid bombs. Vos. The berserker lies crumpled at the bottom of a maintenance shaft, his massive frame twisted at impossible angles. The Ursoid warrior had been bred for close combat, his bone density 3 times that of a human, his claws capable of rending starship hull plating. Marcus had spent weeks studying Voss's psychological profile before playing recordings of Ursoid mating calls through the facility's speakers, driving the creature into such a territorial rage that he'd charged blindly through a holographic wall and plummeted 50 meters onto solid rock. Each death had been a masterpiece of preparation and patience. Each hunter had taught Marcus something new about hegemony tactics, biology, and most importantly, psychology. Zara moves through the facility with fluid grace, her elongated limbs carrying her across surfaces that would challenge a spider. Her species, the Arachnery, were the galaxy's premier hunters, patient, intelligent, and utterly without mercy. Her compound eyes can track movement across 17 different spectrums simultaneously, while her 4 arms allow her to wield multiple weapons with devastating coordination. The bioluminescent patches along her carapace serve as both camouflage and communication, shifting through complex patterns that would hypnotize most prey species into paralysis. But Marcus has been studying her for 3 years. He knows she favors her upper left arm for precision shots, that her luminescence dims when she's concentrating, and that she has a blind spot exactly 47 degrees below her primary visual axis, a evolutionary quirk left over from her species' arboreal origins. He steps into the open, hands raised, and watches her compound eyes widen in shock. The gesture is so unexpected, so contrary to every tactical manual in the hegemony database, that Zara actually hesitates. Her bioluminescent patches flicker in confusion, cycling through patterns that Marcus has learned to read like a book, surprise, suspicion, the beginning of understanding. "You finally found me," he says, his voice echoing in the vast chamber with its cathedral-high ceiling and maze of industrial equipment. The words carry 15 years of weariness, but underneath lies something else, anticipation. 9 are dead. You're next. Zara's mandibles click in confusion, a sound like breaking glass that echoes off the metal walls. Her targeting systems are locked onto Marcus's center mass. But something about his posture, his expression, the way he's standing in perfect view of her weapons, triggers every predatory instinct she's developed over 2 centuries of hunting. This is wrong. Prey doesn't behave this way. Prey runs, hides, begs for mercy. Prey doesn't smile. Behind her, the facility's blast doors slam shut with a thunderous clang that reverberates through the structure like a death knell. The sound is followed by the distinctive whine of magnetic locks engaging, sealing them both inside. Emergency lighting flickers on, bathing everything in hellish red that makes the arranged corpses look even more grotesque. "Impossible," Zara hisses, her voice a sibilant whisper that carries the authority of someone who has never failed a hunt. The facility's automated systems were destroyed in the bombardment. Marcus's smile widens, and for the first time in 3 years of pursuit, Zara feels something she hasn't experienced since her first hunt as a juvenile: uncertainty. "Were they?" he asks, tilting his head with mock curiosity. "Or did I just want you to think they were?" The implications hit her like a physical blow. The facility hadn't been abandoned when she'd tracked him here. It had been prepared. The scattered debris, the damaged systems, the convenient hiding spots, all of it had been staged. She'd walked into a trap so elaborate, so perfectly constructed, that she'd never even suspected its existence. Marcus begins to move, not away from her but in a slow circle around the chamber's perimeter. His movements are casual, almost leisurely. But Zara's enhanced senses detect the subtle positioning. The way he's placing obstacles between himself and her firing angles, while maintaining perfect sight lines for his own escape routes. This isn't the desperate scrambling of cornered prey. This is the calculated maneuvering of an apex predator. 3 years, Marcus continues conversationally, as if they're discussing the weather rather than engaging in mortal combat. 3 years you've been hunting me, Zara. Do you know what I've been doing for those 3 years? Her targeting computer screams warnings as Marcus disappears behind a massive ore processor. But when she moves to flank him, he's already gone. The facility has become a 3-dimensional maze, and somehow the human knows every passage, every hiding spot, every angle of attack and retreat. "I've been learning," his voice echoes from somewhere in the shadows, impossible to pinpoint. "Learning about you, about your species, about the way you think and fight and kill. Did you know that arachnoid hunters have a psychological compulsion to arrange their kills in specific patterns? It's hardwired into your DNA from your web-spinning ancestors." Zara spins, her 4 arms tracking different vectors, but Marcus is already moving again. The hunt just became a duel, and for the first time in her long career, Commander Zara Vex isn't sure which of them is the hunter and which is the prey. Zara's first shot goes wide as Marcus vanishes into the facility's maze of conveyor belts and ore processors, the plasma bolt carving a molten scar across a support beam. She pursues with lethal grace, her 4 arms moving in perfect coordination, 2 tracking potential escape routes while the others reload and recalibrate her weapons. But something feels fundamentally wrong about this hunt. Every corridor seems designed to funnel her movement. Every shadow perfectly positioned for ambush. Every piece of cover arranged to create killing fields that favor the defender. Her enhanced hearing picks up the soft scrape of boots on metal grating somewhere above, and she fires 3 quick bursts at the sound. Sparks shower down as her shots punch through empty air, and she realizes with growing unease that Marcus had thrown a piece of debris to create the noise. He's manipulating her reactions, predicting her responses with surgical precision. Through her helmet's HUD, she calls up the files of her fallen comrades, hoping to find some pattern, some weakness in the human's methods that she can exploit. The data streams across her compound vision in cascading columns of text and tactical analysis, each report more disturbing than the last. Vex the Tracker had been the hegemony's premier pursuit specialist, capable of following a scent trail through hyperspace itself. His species, the Myrmidons, possessed olfactory organs so sensitive they could detect individual molecules across star systems. The official report stated he'd died in an accidental reactor explosion, but the forensic analysis told a different story. Vex had been found in the center of a perfect spiral pattern, his body positioned with mathematical precision. The explosion hadn't killed him. He'd been driven insane by conflicting scent markers. His own enhanced senses turned against him until he'd literally torn himself apart in confusion. Marcus's voice drifts from the shadows, conversational and almost friendly. Vex was my first real teacher. Did you know that Myrmidons can be driven into sensory overload if you introduce competing pheromone trails? It took me 6 months to synthesize the right combination of chemical markers. Poor bastard spent his last 3 hours chasing his own tail. A chill runs down Zara's spine as she processes the implications. The human hadn't just killed Vex. He'd studied Myrmidon's biology for months, learning their weaknesses, their psychological triggers, their evolutionary blind spots. This wasn't random violence. This was scientific murder. She moves deeper into the facility, her bioluminescent patches in to avoid detection, but Marcus seems to anticipate every tactical decision she makes. When she tries to flank left, she finds her path blocked by strategically placed debris. When she attempts to gain elevation, the maintenance ladders have been subtly sabotaged to collapse under her weight. It's as if he's been inside her head, studying her thought patterns, learning to predict her every move. The file on Krill, the assassin, makes her mandibles click nervously. The Naga had been a legend among the hunter corps, capable of synthesizing lethal toxins from any planetary environment. His venom could adapt to counter any known antidote. His strikes were faster than most species could perceive, and his camouflage abilities made him virtually invisible in natural settings. Yet Marcus had killed him with the assassin's own weapons. Krill taught me about patience. Marcus's voice echoes from a different direction now, forcing Zara to constantly adjust her position. Nagas are so proud of their ability to create poisons from local flora, but they never consider what happens when someone else controls the local flora. I spent 2 months cultivating a hybrid plant species, part Terran nightshade, part Centauri bloodbloom. When Krill sampled it to create his toxins, his own venom glands became acid factories. He dissolved from the inside out. Zara's targeting systems sweep frantically across the chamber, but Marcus has become a ghost, his voice seeming to come from everywhere and nowhere. She's beginning to understand the horrifying scope of his preparation. Each hunter hadn't just failed. They'd been students in Marcus's masterclass on alien anatomy, psychology, and combat doctrine. Every lucky escape had been a field exam. Every close call had been Marcus learning how to kill the next one more efficiently. The report on Vos the Berserker makes her blood run cold. The Ursoid warrior had been bred for close combat, his bone density 3 times that of a baseline human, his claws capable of rending starship hull plating. Vos had never lost a fight, never retreated from combat, never shown fear in the face of any enemy. His psychological profile indicated an almost pathological need to dominate any perceived threat through overwhelming violence. Vos was the most educational, Marcus continues. And Zara can hear the smile in his voice. Ursoids have this fascinating psychological quirk. They can't resist a direct challenge to their dominance. I spent weeks studying their mating rituals, their territorial behaviors, their pack dynamics. Then I played recordings of Ursoid alpha calls through the facility speakers. Poor Voss went into such a rage that he charged through what he thought was a rival male. Turned out to be a holographic projection positioned over a 50-meter drop. The pattern becomes clear with sickening clarity. Marcus hadn't been running for 15 years. He'd been studying. Each encounter with a hegemony hunter had been a learning opportunity, a chance to gather intelligence on alien biology, psychology, and combat doctrine. What the hegemony thought was a simple manhunt had actually been Marcus's 15-year education in how to kill the galaxy's apex predators. Zara realizes she's been moving in a predictable pattern, following corridors that seem random but actually form a spiral leading deeper into the facility's heart. Marcus has been herding her like livestock, using her own tactical training against her. Every decision she's made has been anticipated. Every move countered before she's even thought to make it. You're wondering how I know so much about arachnoid hunting patterns, Marcus says, his voice now coming from directly ahead. Zara raises her weapons, but the corridor is empty except for shadows and the distant hum of machinery. I've been watching you for 3 years, Zara. Not just tracking your movements, but studying your methods. The way you position your kills, the psychological games you play with your prey, the specific neural pathways that trigger your predatory responses. A new file appears on her HUD, her own psychological profile, but with annotations in Marcus's handwriting. Notes about her preferred hunting strategies, her emotional triggers, her species' evolutionary weaknesses. The document is hundreds of pages long. A comprehensive analysis of everything that makes her an effective killer, and by extension, everything that could be used to kill her. Did you know that arachnoid hunters have a blind spot exactly 47 degrees below their primary visual axis? Marcus asks conversationally. It's an evolutionary remnant from when your species lived in trees. You never needed to look directly down because gravity would bring prey to you. Zara spins, trying to cover the angle he's described, but she's too late. Something moves in her peripheral vision, and she realizes with dawning horror that Marcus has been studying her for 3 years, learning her weaknesses, preparing for this exact moment. The human hadn't been running from her. He'd been waiting for her to finally catch up. The facility's central chamber erupts in chaos as Marcus triggers his endgame. Emergency klaxons wail as automated systems he spent months reprogramming roar to life with mechanical fury. Massive ore crushers begin cycling through their grinding sequences, their steel jaws snapping shut with bone-crushing force. Conveyor belts surge forward at triple speed, carrying loads of jagged metal debris that transform into deadly projectiles. The mining facility becomes a 3-dimensional killing field. Every piece of industrial equipment turned into a weapon under Marcus's control. Zara leaps between moving platforms with inhuman agility, her 4 arms weaving patterns of destruction as she fires at the holographic projections of Marcus that multiply throughout the space. Each image flickers and dissolves under her plasma fire, only to be replaced by 3 more. Her targeting computer screams warnings as it tries to distinguish between real and false targets, the overlapping signatures creating a sensory nightmare that would drive most hunters insane. But Zara is not most hunters. She survived 2 centuries of combat by trusting her instincts over her technology, and those instincts are screaming that something is fundamentally wrong with this entire scenario. The holograms move too perfectly, their timing too precise. They're not random projections, they're a choreographed performance designed to overwhelm her senses while the real Marcus moves unseen through the chaos. A massive grinding wheel spins past her head, missing by centimeters, and she realizes the industrial equipment isn't just creating chaos, it's forcing her to move in specific patterns. Every leap, every dodge, every tactical decision is being dictated by the machinery's movements. Marcus isn't just using the facility as a weapon. He's conducting an orchestra of death with her as the unwilling dancer. 15 years, Marcus's voice echoes from speakers hidden throughout the chamber. impossible to pinpoint over the industrial cacophony. 15 years of your best hunters teaching me everything I needed to know about killing your kind. Zara's bioluminescent patches flare with rage as she processes the full scope of his deception. The hegemony's entire hunter corps had been played, their greatest assets turned into unwitting instructors in their own destruction. Every tactical manual, every biological weakness, every psychological profile, all of it had been handed to Marcus through the very hunters sent to kill him. She fires a concentrated burst at a support beam, bringing down a section of catwalk in a shower of sparks and twisted metal. The debris crashes into several holographic projections, revealing their true nature, but also exposing her position to whatever automated defenses Marcus has prepared. Immediately, a barrage of mining charges detonates around her, filling the air with shrapnel and choking dust. Through the smoke, she catches a glimpse of movement, not a hologram but solid flesh and blood. Marcus is perched on a maintenance platform 30 meters above, his weathered face illuminated by the facility's emergency lighting. He's not even armed, just watching her with the detached interest of a scientist, observing a laboratory specimen. Zara's 4 arms move in perfect synchronization, tracking his position while calculating trajectory and wind resistance. Her plasma rifle charges with a high-pitched whine, the targeting reticle centering on Marcus's chest. At this range, with her enhanced reflexes and military-grade weaponry, the shot is impossible to miss. But as her finger tightens on the trigger, Marcus smiles and holds up a datapad. The screen shows live feeds from across the galaxy, dozens of them, each displaying a different star system. Zara's compound eyes widen in horror as she recognizes the locations: hegemony military installations, command centers, breeding worlds. And in each feed, she can see the telltale flashes of coordinated strikes, the precise explosions that indicate surgical military operations. Hidden human colonies, Marcus says, his voice now coming from his actual position rather than the speaker's. Thought extinct, scattered across the galaxy like seeds waiting for the right season to grow. They've been watching, learning, preparing. And now, thanks to the education your hunter corps provided, they know exactly how to kill every species in the hegemony. The feeds show impossible scenes. Myrmidons driven mad by synthetic pheromones, their enhanced senses turned against them. Nagas writhing in agony as their own venom glands rupture from engineered toxins. Ursoids charging blindly into carefully prepared traps, their territorial instincts exploited with surgical precision. Every weakness Marcus had discovered, every vulnerability he'd cataloged, was being used simultaneously across hundreds of worlds. Zara's weapon wavers as the implications crash over her like a tidal wave. The hunt for Marcus Chun hadn't been about capturing one rogue human. It had been about gathering intelligence for a coordinated rebellion that had been 15 years in the making. Every hunter sent after him had been an unwitting spy, delivering classified information about hegemony military capabilities directly to humanity's hidden survivors. You're wondering how we survived the bombardment of Earth, Marcus continues, his voice almost gentle now. The truth is we didn't. The Earth you destroyed was already dying, poisoned by our own industrial excess, choked by pollution, ravaged by climate change. But humans are adaptable creatures. Zara, we'd already begun spreading to the stars, not as conquerors, but as refugees from our own mistakes. The data pad shows more feeds, human settlements hidden in asteroid fields, camouflaged bases built into the hearts of dead worlds, generation ships disguised as space debris drifting through the void. Thousands of them, maybe millions, all connected by quantum communication networks that had remained undetected for decades. The hegemony made one critical error, Marcus says, as Zara's strength begins to fail, her bioluminescent patches dimming with exhaustion and shock. You assumed that destroying our homeworld would break our spirit. But humans don't break, Zara. We adapt. We learn. We remember. Her weapon finally drops from nerveless fingers as the full scope of humanity's revenge becomes clear. This wasn't just a military operation. It was a masterpiece of strategic patience that had taken decades to orchestrate. Every human death, every destroyed colony, every act of hegemony aggression had been catalogued and remembered, waiting for the moment when the scattered children of Earth could strike back with perfect knowledge of their enemy's weaknesses. Marcus climbs down from his platform with careful, deliberate movements, approaching Zara like a teacher coming to check on a struggling student. When he kneels beside her, his expression holds no malice, no satisfaction, only the quiet sadness of someone who has seen too much death and knows there's more to come. "Thank you for the education, Commander," he says, his voice carrying 15 years of weariness and loss. "My people will put it to good use." As Zara's vision fades, her compound eyes reflecting the emergency lighting like fractured mirrors, she sees the truth written in Marcus's weathered features. She hadn't been the hunter in this story. None of them had. From the moment the first hegemony ship had appeared in Earth's sky, humanity had been playing a longer game, turning their own extinction into the galaxy's greatest lesson in the dangers of underestimating a species that had learned to survive by never forgetting and never forgiving. The last thing she hears before darkness takes her is the sound of quantum transmitters activating throughout the facility, uploading 15 years of carefully gathered intelligence to human forces across the galaxy. The hunt was over, but the real war was just beginning.